Hey guys, it's me Alex from Sanzu Fabrications. Today I'm going to show you how I made this. This is Ike's Vambrace from Super Smash Bros. Wii, and it's part 1 in my Ike Cosplay series. So, if you're ready, let's get right into it. This character is quite a bit bigger than me, so I'll be building this for a model much closer to Ike's size. The first thing I needed to do was make a rough pattern to get the scale right. I did this by wrapping his arm in plastic wrap and then covering that in masking tape. I drew out a quick sketch of where the armor would be and carefully cut it off. With a rough pattern and plenty of reference pictures, I refined my pattern until I came up with the version I was happy with and transferred it onto a sturdy poster board. I pinned my pattern onto a piece of EVA foam, traced it, removed the pattern, and cut out the shape with an X-Acto Blade. In order to add more depth to the piece, I added several horizontal lines and cut the Vambrace into 4 separate pieces. I heated each piece with my heat gun and bent them into shape. I then added bevels to the edges of the pieces to get the right curves for the armor. I then began the arduous task of attempting to glue the pieces together. I willingly admit this was a struggle to get the shape right. Eventually, I got everything together and sanded over the seams. I took the whole piece outside to soften the edges with the Dremel and then reapplied some heat to refine the overall shape a bit more. Once I had the main Vambrace done, it was time to start on the trim. I found a spare piece of craft foam large enough for the border and cut my pattern out of it. I carefully measured ½ inch in to make the border, added the horizontal bar and the triangles. When I was satisfied, I carefully cut out the details with a craft knife. Gluing the border to the Vambrace took quite a bit of patience. I only glued small portions at a time to prevent puckering or warping. Once the border was firmly attached, I sanded the edges of it smooth so it blended with the rest of the piece. I wanted the border to look as if it were part of the piece and not a separate piece simply glued on. I also tried my best to sand off the textured pattern on the back of the inside. Since this portion flares away from Ike's arm, the inside would be visible from some angles. According to the reference picture, there are 2 straps to this piece, so I sanded the areas where they connect, cut out 2 pieces of polypropylene, and glued these to the armor. You'll notice these straps are black. These are only temporary until I paint this piece, after which I'm going to cover them in something much closer to my reference pictures. Once the straps were secure, I covered them with masking tape and applied several layers of Plastidip to prep the Vambrace for painting. Unfortunately, after the Plastidip, I noticed one of the main seams wasn't fully closed. I applied several layers of gesso to fill the gaps. After it dried, I reapplied another layer of Plastidip. Once that Plastidip had dried, I removed the masking tape, and now I have Ike's Vambrace all ready to be painted. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions for me, make sure to leave them in the comments. And if you want to see future tutorials, consider subscribing. Have a great day and keep building!